If you're on the coast, mullet, croakers, shrimp, sardines, cigar minnows, and ballyhoo come to mind, or maybe you're a fan of topwaters and bass assassins. And for our lakes, minnows, cut shad, and catfish bait can definitely get the job done.
That's right, Brie. There are so many ways to reel in your favorite catch, and it all begins with bait here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. And you know, not only do we have our special themed bait show, but we're also celebrating something big. Rick, the guides, and I have faithfully served your fishing needs for 200 episodes now. 200 of them.
What
Can
that
you do the
really
math for me?
equates to 8 years.
8 years.
That's so crazy, guys.
crazy.
Thank you so much for watching each and every day, each and every year. It is a big deal.
It is a huge deal. All right, well, Dave, 200 episodes later, and you're still killing it over at the Yak Gear Workbench. How are you feeling about it?
200 episodes. Whoosh! What was that? That was your life, mate.
That was your life, mate. You say
Boom.
that
8 years.
You've been saying that for 8 years, and
Yeah.
you're correct.
It's crazy. It went by so fast.
It did. It does all the time. All right, well, lucky us, joining us in the studio is Captain Carl Weston from the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. So, Carl, welcome back to the show, and happy 200.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
having us.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for having
helping
us. Good
All
to see
right,
you
well,
again.
good to see you too. Why don't we get this bait banter started? What do you think?
Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, so bait's kind of important. I have to say fishing would be 100% harder without it. Lucky for us, we have tons of bait. We have boatloads of sponsors that make amazing baits for inshore and offshore use. Berkeley and Mirror have hard plastic topwater lures, twitch baits, divers for almost any occasion. Fish Bites has really, bumped up their game also with the scented baits that we have available, and they also sell plastics. So here in the Upper Coast, a cast net probably can catch about anything you need for bait, and you can never have too much bait. We have a picture today of Danny securing our bait for the day.
Wow, that's cool, dude. All right, what else you got for us this week in the Upper Coast region?
Well, the trout, let's hit the beachfront this week for some really big trout action. It's been a couple of weeks since that storm blew through, Rick, and brought some cleaner water in closer to shore. And along with that, it brought in some really beautiful fish. The anglers have been freelining live shrimp and croaker in the surf. And as far as casting is concerned, you add a couple of split shot to that vanished leader, and it'll get you some distance out there away from the bank. Watch the birds as always. Right now they're trailing those school of shad that the trout are feeding on. And topwater action as well, the mirror lure Little John and watermelon on that 1/4 ounce jig head has really been hard to beat. If you're fishing from a vehicle, don't forget that Sea Sucker has so many add-ons, rod holders, it makes your life a whole lot easier. And our picture today here is Talon seeing double with some gorgeous trout.
Nice. Those are nice fish there, bub. All right, let's go offshore.
All right, let's go. Say, the snapper bite is still slow for us here in the Upper Coast until you get past 160 foot. Now, I went out to 450 foot the other day just checking, and the deeper I went, the bigger the fish went. So, I've never really fished for snapper that deep before, but something has really changed this year in our area, and it seems like those fish are staying out deeper. That deeper structure is holding those big fish. I don't know if it's bait, clarity, just what it is, but right now if you want to go deep. And that's why I love using my Penn Fathoms with that high-speed retrieval. The other day I was able to get those fish up to the top fast and not wear myself out. We have a picture today of Zach with a really nice snapper. Now he's allergic, but he loves to fish.
Allergic, you said?
He's allergic to fish.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's catching them
But
for us all.
he is. And so now let's go to looking at tilefish. We've had some really nice weather the last few days, the last week. So we'll bump out a little further when we're snapper fishing, and especially when you're that far out. These fish are amazing to eat. They're great table fare. And if you get out in that range, 700-800 foot, 1,000 foot, we use a 4 to 5 hook rig with glow skirts. Like I said, 8 to 9 odd hooks tipped with cut squid. And once you get a piece of these fish hooked on, stay down a little bit because we use the Fish Bites to tip it. So the squid, if it comes off, we still have a chance to go back and get that fish. Bring them up a little slower. If you guys are using an electric reel, slow your retrieval a little bit because you will pull these fish off. They have a softer mouth. So bring them up nice and slow, and you'll catch sometimes 3 or 4 fish on one tow. And we have a picture today of Niels and Zach putting our deep drop on the towel.
That is a good tip right there.
Well, thank you for getting the 200th episode started out for us, Carl. We appreciate you being here. But we got to actually get to the upscale glass company hotspots. So here they go. What Carl said we should do this week is inshore fish the beach for trout while throwing live croakers on a free line with a split shot and eagle claw treble hook. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, target red snapper while deep dropping deep structure with cut squid in 200 to 400 foot range, Brie.
Well, Rick, if anybody knows the bait situation in the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region, it's Captain Chad Kinney. So Chad, tell us what's for dinner.
You there, Chad?
Chad.
All right. Well, I know Chad's been offshore, so he's
Successfully catching
150 miles offshore, and he actually gets a Wi-Fi from time to time. So I'm going to go ahead and start with his report and see if we can get him on the phone. First off, he says, Bree, you know, the bait plays an important role in changes during the season. He owns 3 shrimp boats, and we all know what that's about in the bay system when it comes to change. So right now, the fish are feeding on croakers are the best. In the fall and the early spring, the shrimp can be better at times. Fresh mullet also works well. Cut bait on the bottom of redfish. And then offshore, he'll hit just about anything, but the squid, sardines, cigar minnows are a good arsenal. Out deeper, he's trolling using ballyhoo, small, large baits, and then live baiting for marlin, bonitas, blackfins, yellowfins that work out on the rigs. You know, Chad, are you there? We're talking about your offshore fishing.
There,
I know you're out at the Perdido rig.
It's phenomenal. I am at Perdido right now. I'm actually by the whale spot right now. We got a triple hookup on yellowfin, which is epic. So I'll get to you the fishing report, which everybody's wanting to talk to, but I'm going to give you another good report next week. But talking about offshore is really about to turn on, which it's not about to. It is on right now. I'm on it right now. Anyways, there's plenty of bait balls near the beachfront, plenty of action out in the floater rigs for tuna and billfish, which we are at the floater rig. We're at 80 wide, just getting dumped right now. It's great. Anyways, Penn International. But anyways, there's lots of bait balls showing up around the beachfront right now, actually, which is really good. Starting to see some of that blue water starting to squeeze in. So I'm seeing a lot of Spanish mackerel and bonita on them. Look for all the activity and some birds working on them. There's some pretty big bait balls. You can make a lot of fun by using a Penn 3000 spinning reel. Cast some top waters like Mirror Lure, Top Dog Jr. in the middle of it, right in the school. You might want to rig a real short little piece of wire because those toothy mackerel, will cut you off real quick. But you never know if you might get a Jack Crevalle, a Spanish, a big mackerel, or even some tarpon moving in there. So try some silver spoons, cast in the middle of the schools also works really good. There's plenty of action, and looking forward to the next few months, which can be epic, I think, through October. So red snapper, we talked about them a bunch, but reason is it's the season, and there's a ton of them. Fishing has been incredible. We catch them, any which way we're fishing right now. We're jigging with eagle claw trocard jigs, and also with the squish jig savage gear. With the calmer conditions, the fish have been extended that Burl went through, so the currents are getting better, and so they're getting really aggressive right now. So hire a good, charter captain boat that if you know anybody there. If not, book me, and if not, get your buddies in there where to go, and get out there and load up with some good action while you still can. The floater rigs, which I'm actually literally right here now backing up a boat on a yellowfin, been on fire, and they are on fire with tuna and some billfish. The blackfin are pretty much on every drop you want. The yellowfin right now, we're catching them on the troll, and we're catching them on top water, savage jigs on top water. We catch them jigging, we catch them on live bait. If you head out that deep, you can take a net. We can catch a little tiny dip net, basically like that. You get flying fish, you get your NFR lights going, you got a big boat. I got a 7-foot custom Huckins. You get those bait in the back up there. Just, snag that bait, put a free line on, get an eagle claw natural live bait hook like a 9-aught, and put those out there. Topwater plugs are working really, really great. Savage makes a great one. Using Penn Authority is basically what we're using right now on the spinning reel, 6,500 with some 65-pound Berkeley braid. And fishing's basically epic, and it's a trip of a lifetime out to the floater rigs. Try it between now and October, until the weather is good. But I got to go. We're hooked up.
All right, Chad, go catch them, bud. Good luck. You got a picture for me? Awesome. I love it. There's that pin. There's your rig in the background. I love it. Go get them, bub. I know you got 2 more to catch. Chad says, let's take a look at the hot spots from the lower coast region. Inshore, there's plenty of trout out on the lower coast in 3 to 5 feet of water where the live croaker is working the best right now. And then offshore, great tuna and billfish action is turning on near the floater rigs. No joke.
As we speak. All right, well, we're seeing what's swimming around in the Startron Middle Fresh region next. But first, Dave and Carl are schooling us with some rigs and techniques at the Yak Gear Workbench. Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah, Carl thought he was done, but he's not.
He's not done. Putting in the time. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Yeah, we're here at the Yak Gear Workbench. We're going to do some rigs and techniques, talking about bait. You know, in reality, nothing beats a live bait, Carl. Nothing. You know, with a live bait, you're feeding your target species the things that he eats all the time. So you're not really fooling him. You're feeding him, and that's really the key to it. Inshore, you know, we can use a lot of different stuff: shrimp, croakers, pinfish, and you can catch them in a bunch of different ways. But probably the best way to catch most of our fish bait is to use a hook and line.
Right.
Because, you know, the bait comes out a lot friskier and they're a little better. This Pin 3500 combo here, if you hold that for me, you know, that's a Spinfisher 7 combo, IPX5 sealed body and spool, CNC gears. It's got the HT100, you know, drag. Right. Carbon fiber drag. It's almost too good to be using for bait, but if you're going to be catching big baits and a lot of them on a string,
right,
you need something strong that's not going to flex. That's got a graphite composite blank, Duraguides, one piece. They're all stainless steel, so if you wind up winding your sabiki up into the tip, there ain't no insert that come out,
right.
And because they're made out of stainless steel. So if we're going to be using catching bait, use a good rod and reel to do it with, like that Spinfisher 7.
Yes, sir.
And once we catch the bait, we want to have a good bucket system. You know, you can either get a cheap little bucket like this one, you know, just or any bucket. You buy a lid that goes on there. It usually comes with one of these little aerators. But the best thing to use is a bait cooler.
Yes. Because
a bait cooler keeps the water cold. It keeps it dark, and it also allows you know, the bait to stay friskier. They're calmer in the cold water. The colder water holds more dissolved oxygen than hot water.
Yes.
So especially if it's in the summertime and you're catching these bait, put them in your live well in your boat, which is the best bet. But put them in a bait cooler. And to keep the water cold, you can throw a frozen bottle of water in there.
That's a great idea. I never thought about that before. That's
you can
amazing.
throw a frozen bottle of water, or you could use one of those little lunch packs, you know, throw it in there. It'll sink to the bottom, keeps everything cold. But, Carl, you like to throw a net.
We do. We cast a net for a lot of bait in Texas. For one, our water's dirty. Our inshore water's dirty. Like we talked about traps last week.
Right.
Those work great, but sometimes the water's so dirty that you can't hide them.
You can't see your trap.
Right, you can't see the trap.
Right.
So you can see the shad on top of the water or the mullet, and we'll go along, kick the motors out of gear, and get on the front of the boat and just cast for our bait on our way out.
Right.
And then, like you said, you've got fresh bait, you've got a variety of bait, and I think we talked about that earlier. Live bait, any live bait is better than
no live bait.
No live bait, because I've cast behind my boat. Sometimes, like we talked about, we go to the cleaning tables around and either cast out a little chum or just right after they've filleted fish, and you can catch pinfish, you can catch mullet, shrimp, everything
croakers
in that area.
Even,
croakers will come in there and feed on that byproduct, and it's free bait, and it's the best bait in the world. So.
I got you. Now, like you're correct. When I go offshore, you know, I'll drop sabikis down. Or even just small hooks with bait, like fish bites on it as well, and try to catch whatever's there. If you know, you can a lot of times catch, you know, like a little mingo snapper, or you know, any assorted bottom fish and bring it up and put it out on a wire rig. And you're going to catch wahoos on it. You can catch kingfish on it. Any live bait struggling on a wire rig is gonna do well for you. And when you're using those croakers inshore, a good kale hook like these right here really work well. Hold that still for those guys. So
that's awesome.
That works really well for all those redfish and trout and whatnot. And then when you get offshore, you want to. I like to catch little tunas because wahoo likes to eat tunas, and if they're small enough tunas, even big dolphin will eat tunas.
Right.
And you know that the blue marlin likes to eat tunas. So when I'm tuna fishing, I use these kind of spoons, like a little Clark spoon.
Right.
A single hook spoon, because if you use a treble hook on your spoons, you can
tear the fish up, right?
Yeah, you can mess the bait up, get them to start bleeding.
Right.
And you don't want to keep a bleeding bait in a tuna tube or a live well because they'll bleed out and then they're not as frisky and fresh.
Right.
So unless you're having a hard time catching bait, like if you're having a hard time catching bait, go ahead and keep those dead ones, the ones that are bleeding really hard,
Right.
because you can rig them up and skip them and they'll work just as good.
Yeah, but if you're catching fast and furious bait, don't keep the injured or the dead baits.
Right,
yeah.
right. And what you'll do is you'll fish these Clark spoons 2 at a time on 40 pound fluorocarbon, or even 50 pound, whatever you can get away with. The thicker the better, because once you get these little tunas on, they fight hard.
Oh, they do.
And when you get them close to the boat, you want to be able to wrap up and get them into the boat without hurting your hands and whatnot. And the thicker the leader you can get away with, the more you can sling those tunas into the boat. And then start, first thing you should do when you catch a tuna for live bait is bridle the first one you catch and throw it over where you're catching those tunas.
Right.
And if you can catch 2 at a time, put 2 out really quick, because those marlin will be around the place
in that area,
where those little tunas are. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be pulling these on a planer, probably 40 to 60 feet behind the boat, and that's what you're wanting to do. You want to catch, and you can catch little Spanish mackerels, little blue runners, little jackfish, all kinds of stuff like that. So any of those things will work fine for a bait. So.
The old match in the hatch, like they said.
I didn't let you talk that much, did I?
That's good.
Good job over there, Dave. You were going to make sure you got your words in.
I did.
Carl, he's left you on the side of the road. But, Brie, the one thing they said that really sticks to my mind, you have that bleeding bait, take him and put him in a saltwater brine so he doesn't lose his color. Then you can use him as that skip bait that Dave was talking about. It actually makes it perfect.
Makes all the difference.
Yeah. My saltwater brine is that.
All right, well, there is one live bait that shines above the rest in the Startron Middle Fresh region. So let's hear the details with Matt Loescher. Go for it, Matt.
All right, let's talk some bait. And Brie nailed it right there with talking about shining with the shiners, man. It's all about the shiners here in the Middle Fresh region. They're often called minnows, whatever you want to call them. I think Arkansas shiners is technically what most of them are, but they definitely dominate the live bait category in the Middle Fresh region. And I'm going to echo a lot of the stuff that Dave was just saying, because he hit the nail on the head, especially when he started talking about the bait buckets and the cool water. So I'm going to get into that a little bit. Now, I want to mention that a lot of people don't realize it, but shad are actually the primary forage in our lakes. And there are different species of minnows that inhabit the lakes as well, but shad are mostly what all of our fish really eat, even from the littlest fish to the biggest fish. But the minnows are the closest look-alike to them that we can easily keep alive on the boat. And everything eats them just like everything eats the shad. And shad are great, they're just tough to keep alive. So the minnows just make life easier. They are primarily used to catch crappie. That's what most people buy the minnows for most of the time. But everything from a tiny little bluegill to a big old catfish will eat them as well. We catch white bass with them, yellow bass with them, and even the occasional black bass with them. I can't think of a fish that you would fish for in our Middle Fresh region lakes that don't eat minnows. So they're a great option, and like I said, they're much easier to keep alive. Going to give you a couple of quick tips for keeping alive on the boat, especially in the hot summertime. And going back to what Dave said, definitely cool, clean water is vital. Obviously, it's not going to stay that way on the boat all day long in the summertime. So what I do is every few hours, I try to remove about a third of the old water and replace it with some fresh lake water, which has good, good healthy stuff in it. And then I add some ice to that, or a frozen water bottle, like he said, is definitely a great option too. And that's going to fix both issues. It's best, though, if you can utilize a 2-bucket setup or a cooler setup in a bucket or a live well in a bucket. That way you can keep your bulk in one. I use a cooler setup to keep my bulk in. That keeps them cool, and they stay alive really well in that water all day. I don't have to mess with it. And then I'll put just a few at a time into another bucket that I'm going to pull from to fish with. And that's the one where I'm going to change out that water every now and then because I'm constantly stirring them up, knocking scales off of them. It's out there in the sun, getting hotter faster. That's where you need to change that water out. Just be careful. You don't want to change out too much of that water at once because that'll cause them to die. They'll get shocked. So I like to do about a third of the water at a time, and then that lets them kind of acclimate, keeps that water healthy. If you are using only a 1-bucket system, you may want to do even less than a third, maybe just a big cup full now and then. Change that water out with some cool water, and that'll keep them healthy and live all day. Keep an eye on them. When you see those minnows at the bottom of that bucket, all schooled together real tight, and that water looks clean, those are good, healthy minnows, and healthy bait definitely catches more fish. And if you see them start coming to the top, biting at the top of the water, trying to get oxygen, that means you've got the water's too hot, it's lacking oxygen, it's too dirty, something's wrong with it, you need to start switching that water out. And you want to try to stay ahead of it so you keep them good and healthy. All right, now I'm going to switch up and talk about the largemouth bass this week, which we typically don't fish for with live bait here in the Middle Fresh region. We normally stay to the artificial stuff for them, but you definitely can. So we're going to start over on Sam Rayburn. Rayburn has been on a steady fall lately, but it has leveled off around 3.5 feet above pool now because we had a ton of rain midweek this week. The temperature is about 85 degrees. And points are still a great place to start your search on Rayburn right now because, that water level coming up and down, they're definitely using those points. Look for the congregations of bait fish in the deep water outside of the points and around the perimeter of the flats. And then just look for the bass on the adjacent points and ledges of those flats. So study your topography map. Think about the shallow areas that these fish were in previous weeks where there's a lot of bushes and good cover, and they're going to be continuing to pull out of that stuff. So look at it like a funnel and think about how they're going to funnel out of those flats and out on those points, following out, looking for that deep water, staying close to that bait. Now, crankbaits are definitely a great choice right now. You can use them as a search bait, and they're a great catching bait as well right now. So use those to help locate the bass and catch them. And then when that bite slows down, use your Carolina rig and your Texas rig as a backup. And I would focus primarily on about 10 to 20 feet of water. All right, now quickly, I'm going to hit Toledo Bend. Been falling pretty quickly as well, and then we've leveled off some once again with the rain. Temperatures dropped down into the mid-80s. Still running a lot of current through the lake, so there's still some current moving. Fish have been hanging in 12 to 18 feet of water on the points and edges of the flats. Crankbaits and Texas rig, bass and tap out worms have been the best. And I'll show you a photo here of what you can catch. Got a gentleman there, fish with my fellow captain, Brandon O'Neill. Got him a nice bass.
All right, bud.
Nice.
Thank you so much for the great report this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots. My man Matt says Toledo Bend, the bass are biting very well on the crankbaits, worms, and 12 to 1,800 feet. Sam Rayburn, bass are cooperating well also, but fast dropping water is moving them around. So don't get locked in on one spot, guys.
All right, well, it's the perfect time to cruise on in and purchase a brand new Yamaha during Yamaha's Cruise Through Summer Sales event. From now until August 30th, eligible new Yamaha 450 to 425 HP outboards include up to 7 years of coverage protection. 350 to 30 HP outboards come with up to 5, and all new Yamaha portables include up to $250 in dealer credit. For more information, visit your local Yamaha dealer today. Gonna get some great deals with that one.
Sure,
All right.
you sure are. That's what summer's about. Deals and steals.
Deals. We're seeing what our live and artificial life looks like in the upper and lower fresh regions when we come back, so stay hooked. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas. Scan that QR code to check out all of our social media pages, our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, where you can see new fishing adventures along with reports and more. Plus, on our website, we have brand new show merchandise to enhance your fishing wardrobe. So scan away and get yours now. We'll be right back. 200.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Welcome back. When you match the hatch in the upper fresh region, you better be ready to catch with Mike McFarland. Talk to us, Mike.
Hey, Brie, I love that saying, match the hatch. My dad always said that when I was a kid. Live bait this week, or bait period, we got night crawlers, live minnows, cut shad, crappie nuggets, crickets, chicken livers, stinky tub catfish bait. I mean, it's just a few on the list of bait that we can use up here in the upper fresh region. Some fishermen will simply purchase live minnows from the local fishing store. Remember to keep your receipt, too, when you do that from that store. But they'll go crappie fishing with those live minnows. Others will throw a cast net to catch live shad for stripers and hybrids. For catfish, some guys will chum. They'll put 5 pounds or so of cattle cube or cattle maize from the local feed store. We talk about that all the time. And they'll pre-bait a spot before for catfish. Then use tub bait to clean up. For big bass, we use live brim, big gizzard shad, crawfish, 10-inch water dogs if you can find them. The thing I would say about bait is you don't always have to have artificial lure to catch fish in the upper fresh region. One thing I'll remind you is the rules and regulations are very important, and I think in some cases, make sure you know your rules and regulations, bait transportation, what's legal bait, what's not, stuff like that. But that's really important to just show those good conservation and sportsmanship skills. So that's it. We don't bass fish a lot with live bait, but let's tell you about the bass fishing up here with our artificial stuff. On Tawakoni, Matt Cartwright says it is as good as bass fishing gets on Tawakoni. It's about 6 inches low, 85 degrees in the main lake, and the bass are super, super shallow. So that topwater frog bite continues. The lily pads and green vegetation, that's all you got to do. Get back there and find that. If we have the weather like we do this week, rain, clouds cover, it's going to be a bite that you could expect all day. And then, of course, if the sun comes out, start flipping some Texas recreature baits on the docks. That's also become a very good pattern for bass on Tawakoni. Bass and Boat Arc, just slowing down a little, but it's still excellent. The new lake is producing, offering some of the best bass fishing that we've seen here in Texas in a long time. It's going to get better over the next few years as well. We get bigger fish, more fish. The big worms, jigs, Carolina rigs, and Texas recreature baits, and the offshore trees and deep structure, that seems to still be the pattern. Moving on to Lake Fork, my home lake where I guide. A lot of big bass are still being caught. A lot of it's happening at night. The boat docks that have submerged green lights, the underwater fiber optic lights, that's the best place to be. You'll see the shad come there through the night. The bass will feed periodically on those shad. It's really about timing, being there, kind of like a deer feeder. You got a corn feeder, the deer aren't always there, but be there when they're there and you're good. So squarebill crankbaits, swim baits, jigs and things are the best for those nightlight times. And then during the day, I'm still fishing that big old worm, that Bass Assassin 11-inch assassin worm in plum apple. It's been my go-to bait. Some football jigs tipped with Bass Assassin whooper craw, catching some bigger fish. And then here's what I mean by a summertime Lake Fork special.
There you go. That's a nice one there, bub. All right, what else you got for us this week?
Crappie fishing. Crappie on Lake Levon. One day they're good on the brush piles. The next day they're on submerged timbers, so kind of be versatile. Your 1/32 to 1/8 ounce jigs and minnows are your best there on Levon. And finding some laydowns in 9 foot of water is occasionally 9 to 22 foot is producing some of the bigger keeper fish. I do have a bluegill report real quick for Levon. I know guys love to eat those bluegills. Brush piles in 15 to 20 feet, earthworms, whackworms, just fish above those brush piles. Really light line, 2 to 4 pound test you can clean up, and crickets seem to catch the bigger bluegills. Staying with crappie, moving on to Lake Fork. Excellent. Jackie Wiggins says that the crappie continues to be really good here. 14 to 28 feet is your best depth. The summer patterns, move offshore. If you're struggling with the artificial, go to those live minnows. It's, like we said, bait theme. The live minnows will always catch you them crappie. And here's Jackie Wiggins with some recent catches.
Nice. That's good,
Wow.
good looking stuff there. Tell us about the stripers and white bass, bub.
So Levon, when the gates are open, they're scattered everywhere. You just got to move till you find them. Use your side scan to find bait fish, and then fish those 1 ounce slab spoons like we always talk about. Tawakoni, Limits every day this week on hybrid and sand bass, mostly on the artificials, some live bait. And here's Matt Cartwright with some great catches. I always love these pictures that Matt sends me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. We're going to go ahead and let me see these photos here. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Here comes the second one, the whole table full. All right, thank you for all the great pictures this week, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ducks Unlimited hotspots. He says that upper fresh region, guess what? Big crappies, pan-sized channel catfish are on the fire in Lake Fork. The daily limits of quality fish are easily being caught in very short amount of time, and the fishermen are filling their freezers, Brie.
That's what we like to hear. All right, well, there are many options in the lower fresh region when it comes to your bait of choice. So let's see what those are with Matt Reed. What's going on, Matt?
Hey, Brie. Let's get this thing kicked off. Start off talking about bait. Bait is definitely a great way to target a whole bunch of different species of fish, from bluegill all the way up to the giant catfish. You know, there's such a wide variation there. For tons of action, you can't beat earthworms or crickets to slay the bluegill or red ear brim. That's definitely a great way to take a kid fishing. They're going to have a blast. Minnows are the perfect option for crappie. Around brush piles or marinas or whatever, that is the most reliable way to put a limit of those great tasting fish in your freezer. You can use several different baits to attract catfish. For keeper size blues and channel cat, shrimp, shad, dough bait, those will all work great to catch those keeper size fish, you know, the ones that aren't too fat that are great to eat. The catfish fish bites are also putting a whole bunch of catfish on the table. If you choose to go after those trophy-sized blue cat, get you some big, fresh gizzard shad or carp to use for cut bait. And hang on, bait is definitely a great way to ensure a successful day of fishing. Got a picture here with Ram Reyes, my buddy, the guides from Catfish down at Falcon. Got his kids with a big old blue cat that actually chewed on those fish bites.
That's it. Good job, bud. All right, let's talk about some bass, please.
All right. Falcon Lake is fishing really well. Numbers and size continue to roll. As usual for the summer months, rock is your friend. The Berkeley Dredger crankbaits, Texas Rig big worms, and football jigs have been the best producers. Concentrate in 12 to 18 feet and hang on. Like Bates sent me a report from Choke Canyon. Lake level is still falling slowly. The top water bite was a little slow this week, but it's still worth it on cloudy mornings. Jaywalkers and buzz baits have been the best option. Anywhere you got shallow hydrilla, that's a great area to be. He says you can't fish too shallow. 1 to 3 feet is where he's catching those fish, you know, early in the morning. From 8 a.m. on throughout the day, you're going to start seeing bass schooling out on the main lake. Depth doesn't matter. They're just pushing shads, so keep your eye open when you see them busting. Get you a rattle, just a regular old chrome rattle bait, and that has been his best producer for those schooling fish. Most of them are, you know, 2 to 3 pound fish, but occasionally you'll catch a bigger one. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Fayette County. Fayette County's been fishing really well shallow this week in the mornings. It's come up a little bit, so that shallow top water bite around the grass has been very good. Poppers and buzz frogs have been the ticket. The deep fish are more consistent. The schools are on the main lake points with a half-ounce shaky head or a Carolina rig. Put you a soft plastic stick bait or a creature bait on that Carolina rig. That's the best way to catch them. All throughout the rest of the day. Dylan Thompson sent me a report from Lake Amistad. In the morning, top water Berkeley Jaywalkers on flats and steep points near the main lake have been the best option. In the afternoons, you want to drag your big Texas rig, big worms on the points and brush near the main lake in about 10 to 20 feet of water. Mid-depth crankbaits and are also in those same areas catching a ton of fish, as most of our summertime areas over there. Just keep your eye out for schooling activity. Those fish are busting throughout the day all over the main lake. Got 3 bass pictures there. I got my buddy Charles Parchman with a big old falcon fish.
Nice.
And then Dylan Thompson with a couple of great bass from Amistad. He's just been wearing them out over there.
Nice pictures. So, Matt, I got a question for you. You know, the heat is obviously something you guys got to deal with during the middle of the day. I know Dave was out there fishing, and they would fish from daylight till about 10 or 11 o'clock. Then they'd go in and come back out at 5 and fish till about 10 o'clock at night. Is that what you do, or you just, how do you get past the heat?
Nah, that doesn't work for me. I'm you know, down in Falcon, I will tell you this, the hottest time of day is from about 5 to 8 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can push through till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. As long as you have a breeze, you'll make it fine. But there's really not any coming back in and going out down there. Yeah, if you wanted to fish at night on some of the other lakes, that's a great thing. You know, you can dodge the heat totally. But, man, all the way down south, it just gets hotter as the day goes on.
Yeah, I get it. All right, bud. Well, that's what happens when you're down there in the valley. You're blowing down, all the wind blows into the lake. So thank you for clearing that up for me. We're going to go ahead and take a look at Lake Falcon. Is fishing really well. Numbers and size continues to roll, and as usual for the summer months, the rock is your friend. The Berkeley Dredger crankbaits, Texas rig, and football jigs are the best producers. Concentrate 12 to 18 feet, and hang on, Brie.
It's all about, you know, the neck fans for me. That's really what I use to get through the heat. I'm just kidding. No. All right, well, we've been talking about it for weeks, and we want to congratulate the winners from the Key West Marlin Tournament that occurred this past weekend. Everyone had lots of fun, but big congrats to Don't Blink, Dreamweaver, and Keep 'em Tight for the Marlin division, and Boylan Point for the ladies division. Go girls. And for the Fun Fish division, let's congratulate Keep 'em Tight again for the Dolphin, Coco for tuna, and the Eva Marie for wahoo. Look at those catches, Rick.
7 blue marlin caught during the tournament. That's great. You know, it just goes to show if you fish before the full moon, you're gonna have a good marlin bite.
Absolutely.
Good job, guys.
Good job, everybody. All right, well, we're all about the bait and 200 hours of fishing in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region after the break, but let's get a preview of some Taco Marine new products at the Yak Gear Workbench from Dave. Dave, I see you. Whoa, what's happening over here?
Had an accident.
Had an accident?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you hooked?
A few little hooks in there.
Well, we're gonna teach everyone how to get them out, aren't we?
Exactly.
Why don't we put that in you for real, Dave?
No.
That'll make me feel better today.
No, thank you.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Power Pole tip is about the Power Pole blade, guys. We're talking about the #1 selling shallow water anchor in the world, and the reason why I like it so much as a fishing guide, or maybe if you're an elite tournament angler, this is a pole that you should look at because it comes in an 8 and a 10-foot option. So when it comes to anchoring in deep water, we have the ability to touch the bottom. And speaking about touching the bottom, the blade has the strongest anchor hold, as well as it is the fastest when it comes to deploying and getting down to the bottom. Now, when the blade is up, it's 20% more aerodynamic because of how thin it is and with the holes being drilled in it. So keep in mind, guys, that it comes in a red, white, blue, as well as black color options. If you have any questions about the Power Pole blade, certainly go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip. Well, it's time for the Taco Marine new products here at the Yak Gear Workbench. Dave.
Yes, sir.
We got some cool stuff when we were at ICAST.
Yes, we did.
Talk about.
We're going to start over there with the Savage Gear Max Stick. It's a slow sinking stick bait. And it's just, made to toss the tunas on the surface, or, striking fish, or just about anything will eat that thing because it looks beautiful. It looks that one right there looks like a little mackerel for sure. It's got a hard ABS body, a through wire construction all the way through, internal holographic prism inside there. So when you shake it in the sun, it really shines. It's got nice big extra strong split rings and hooks on there. So this is not a lure that you're going to have to change the hooks out if you want to catch big fish. And they come in 2 different sizes, a 2 ounce and a 3 ounce, 5 inch and a 7 inch. So just a really good stick bait. You know, a lot of guys use those offshore and inshore. So.
And they're different weights too. How many different colors do you know, Dave?
I'm not sure. I think there's 7 or 8.
8.
That's 7 or 8. I counted them up, but I had
It's okay.
I just had a.
You did good.
Okay.
Okay. Let's keep going. So where do we go to find them?
SavageGear.com.
That's it.
Next, we have the Rig Mate. This is a really cool thing that we found at ICAST. A guy in Australia invented a machine that would make pre-tied dropper loop rigs that he could put it on a spool. And they come in 10, 20, 40, 60, and 80-pound tests. You know, depending on the pound test, you get a certain number of knots per rig, 80, 60. I think the 10 pound, you get 100. You just cut off the number of loops that you need.
Yeah.
You attach a swivel to the top loop if you want, and attach a weight to the bottom loop, and then put your hooks on the middle so you never have to tie a dropper loop again.
That's right.
It's
so you
amazing.
would cut it. You would cut it right here so you could tie this off and keep your loop for the next one for the weight.
Right, you can.
That's
You can
so
either
cool.
tie a knot here or either one, or you can use that loop here to put your swivel on. So it's really, really, really cool. They're made in Australia, but they ship from Missouri. The guy's got a warehouse in Missouri, I guess. Full
Distribution in the U.S. Cool.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait too long for them. And go to rigmate.com to check these out. I mean,
I love this idea.
It's a
I
good
wish I would have
idea.
thought of this, Dave.
Yeah.
This guy's way smarter than Ricky Dickey.
Yep, and he, like I said, he makes them from 20 all the way up to 80. So anyway, next we've got this really cool thing we saw too. It's called the D-Hooker tool, D-H-U-K-R tool.com, by the way. It's the only human fish hook removal tool. And what this does is it kind of mimics the old, putting the line on and pressing down.
Right.
Well, this does it in one tool. This guy worked in an emergency room and had to pull a lot of hooks out of people and figured, you know what, maybe I can make a tool. And this has a nice little ergonomic grip. It's got a trigger handle on it. So what you do is
Okay, zoom in here now. Let's get in here
What
tight.
you do is you loop, there's a little metal loop on here that you loop around the bend in the
shank.
hook.
Right.
And then you put the top part on the shank, and what that does is it pushes down, and you can pull it out.
Oh man! So we can even do this with the treble hook.
Yep,
Let's
same
try
thing with
this
the treble,
treble hook.
You put that little.
Go slow, Dave.
Yeah, put that little shank on the curve of the hook, press down, and pull out. And what it does is it disengages the barb.
And it's following the hole that it created, and all you're doing is scratching on the way out.
Correct. One like that.
Yeah.
Push down and pop it out.
Oh, that guy's screaming now, Dave. SOB, Dave.
And you can. The good thing about it is you can do it. You can do it yourself. You don't have to have 2 people. You can do it
Here,
anywhere.
let's try it, Dave.
No. You can do it anywhere you want too. So that's really cool.
So look at how cool this is. This is so cool. That's a really cool. Somebody was really thinking this guy's going to sell the gazillions of these.
DHookerTool.com. Last but not least, we don't have much time. The Sea Sucker Universal Fillet Table mounts vertical, horizontal, or at an angle. It's 11 by 17. It's got built-in knife holders and stuff on it as well, in the top. And vacuum mounts keep it in place. It's got nice little drain places made from a high quality HDPE.
So we can do double sea suckers.
Correct.
Or single.
Yeah, vertical or horizontal mount.
Good job. Where do we go to find this one?
SeaSucker.com. Universal
Good job,
Fillet Table.
sea suckers. All right, Brie.
All right, Captain Carl Weston's excited about that human hooker. He's in here shaking his head on, yeah, that thing's good. All right, when the fish speak in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region, Captain Bink Grimes listens. So let's hear what all the bait buzz is about. Close us out for the 200th, Bink. Go for it. Bink, are you there?
All right, well, we'll get started while we got a chance. So Bink says to start off with inshore, you're going to have the trout. He's an artificial guy, mirror lures, bass assassins, and top dogs are going to certainly work as soft dines, but he also likes to wade and throw some worms and plugs. But there comes time when that you can't argue with fish, and that time is now. Live bait is a summertime staple along the middle coast. I can catch fish drifting with soft plastics in East Bay, but the live shrimp under a cork catches speckled trout 10-1 when the water temperatures reach the 80s. So give them what they want. You can try the bait with redfish and black drum, right, Bink?
Yeah, sure. You can catch them on fake, but the real thing is it's so much better this time of year. They really want live bait right now. We love to wait in July, and that's been the best lately. Topwaters, Bass Assassins, Mirror, Soft Dines have been go-to baits, and Rockport Bass Assassins continue to coax good trout on the shorelines around Mud Island and Trailer Island. Income tide's been good. The super flats around Port Aransas. Topwaters over sand and grass has been solid. Then in Port O'Connor, grass flats next to Pascavallo and the jetty have been good on Bass Assassins topwater. Incoming tide's been best. Trout action around Cold Pass and San Luis Pass have been good on topwaters. The surf has been flat and fishable a few days this month, and many walk-in waders are taking advantage. In Palacios, shoreline and guts are holding trout over sand and grass on soft plastics like Bass Assassins. The north shoreline reef has been good around the barge and Coon Island. Same patterns holding along the south shoreline of West Matagorda Bay reefs. Sand pockets holding trout on incoming tide on the mirror sheep ups and Bass Assassins. Redfish, people love to catch redfish this time of year, but staying on a good pattern is kind of tough in July unless you're hanging out at the jetty. Matagorda, most of those boaters are hitting points and structures along the south shoreline with live shrimp. Again, it's so much better with live bait this time of year for redfish. Others are finding redfish while drifting for trout. Many of those redfish are falling off the shorelines because our low tides in July. Look for slicks in the middle of the bay that set up drifts upwind. Bull reds are all over the beaches and jetties, and the recent calm conditions the Gulf has allowed anglers to work the beach. Guys on foot are tossing big chunks of crab and mullet in the first gut. Jetty anglers are working the ocean side on the incoming tide and the channel side on the outgoing tide. A lot of big white shrimp in the Gulf right now. Shrimpers are right on the beach, and those redfish are right there on the beach. Photo, the redfish ate a live shrimp under a popping cork this week in East Matagorda Bay. There's a lot of big old reds in East Matagorda Bay from our storm tides that we got about a week ago. Red Snapper Action Guide, Michael Gabecca said they continue to impress about 80 foot of water. Cobia are beginning to show more frequently as our kingfish. Look for shrimp boats culling and make a few casts after the boat. Lots of sharks should be around as well. Swordfish are about 80 miles out. Weather's made it more conducive for making long runs. We've had probably about 10 to 11 days of just really good offshore weather. So a lot of those offshore guys are really taking advantage of it. Another great week in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region. We're getting a lot of rain right now in Texas. It should only improve our estuaries. Thanks to all the anglers who are releasing more than they take. There's just a whole lot of new attitudes forming and our fisheries improving. And we hope that you continue to catch and release because it's pretty cool to do it.
All right, Bink, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hot spots for the Middle Coast region. He says inshore trout while wading with Bass Assassins in the guts and the channels with the falling tide. The redfish are at the jetties on fresh menhaden and shrimp. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, those red snapper are good in 60 to 80 feet of water.
All right, well, we've closed out the big 200 right there, and it's burning as we speak. Do we blow it out or sing happy birthday?
Not yet. I got a question. You know, Bink was saying 60 to 80 feet in the Middle Coast.
Right.
Finding the red snappers. Carl, didn't you tell me and Dave earlier before the show that you found that they're finding them deeper?
I am, but I'm a little further east. So as that drop runs down, he's a little closer to the drop than we are. But I am finding much bigger fish in deeper water.
How much deeper? Twice that deep.
Yeah, up to 400 feet.
Wow, yeah. That's probably a little deep where he's at, but maybe 250 would work for that region, right?
I think so, yes.
Right.
If you push offshore, they're going to be bigger.
I like it. That's not as many people are getting out there. You know what,
Well,
Brie?
thanks you for being here, Carl, to celebrate with us.
Thanks for having
Should we
me.
all try to blow
Come
this
on.
Sorry, I didn't let you
200
talk
out?
much, man.
Get in here.
I was running my mouth.
You won. Are you? No.
Yeah,
Will
one,
we
two,
make
three.
it?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. You got to
One-
lean in here, though,
I
Brie.
will.
Come on.
1, 2, 3. Happy 200, everybody. Thank you so much for watching us this
We're gonna set off
many
the fire alarm.
times. Get out there, catch your bait, catch those fish. Carl, thanks again for coming. Guys, good job.
Good job.
We'll see you in 201.
Yes. Bye, guys.